not buying anything that Bayley and Sasha are doing. The whole skit of them having to respond as the other person was flat out terrible. It made it's kind of hard for root for either of them because they're both being booked like a bunch of spoiled bitches. The only real person to cheer for in this is Dr. Shelby. But these whole skits took at least 5 minutes of raw airtime, but the one person who took the most airtime, you pretty much can call this episode of Raw the Roman Reigns show, because that's all this Raw was really about, with the best thing that happened on this Raw was the tag team match between Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre.
And we knew that you weren't, and you knew right from the get-go that match wasn't going to get a clean finish, because why would you do that?
I think it's slowly becoming clear that Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre are becoming the top heels of the brand.
And they really should be.
And they should be, and this is actually a good step in the right direction for these guys. Yes, it was a DQ finish because of the Revival and their scheduled match with Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley later on, which led to another disqualification on the side of the Revival being a bunch of idiots. And it's like, yeah, we're just going to double team Roman Reigns to a disqualification. And the one thing I got out of this, and I even posted this on Twitter, is that when the first match was amazing. The second match, it was more storytelling than wrestling, with Roman telling Bobby Lashley beforehand that he could just stand on the apron. I'm going to start this match, and I'm going to finish this match, and you don't have to do anything. And they did do that. That was the whole point of the story aspect. Roman had the match all to himself, while he had plenty of opportunities to tag Bobby Lashley in, but nope, he's refusing, and he called Bobby Lashley the egomaniac. But it was another good match. Another disqualification ending really didn't need to happen, especially after you saw, what was the name of the Revival's finishing move?
The Shatter Machine.
The Shatter Machine. They did a Shatter Machine immediately after the disqualification, so why didn't they just let Roman Reigns lose? I mean, it's not going to hurt him.
Because he can't lose twice in a row.
It wasn't going to hurt him. And Bobby Lashley walking out is like, oh, you don't need my help? Fine. And then if you listen to Michael Cole, you're looking as if, oh, Bobby Lashley's walking out on Roman Reigns when he needs help? Well, he's the asshole, and you got to feel sympathy for Roman Reigns for getting double-teamed. Yet, when you look at the match, and when you looked at their match, Roman Reigns was being a complete dickhead.
Bobby Lashley was perfectly willing to help during the first 5 minutes of this match. And when he figured out what was going on, he was like, no, I'm good. I'm out. That's it.
But if you had to choose between the two matches, it was definitely the Seth Rollins Reigns versus Ziggler and McIntyre. It was the better match, better paced, better, in my opinion, better story, because you have basically one of the top faces of the WWE in Seth Rollins doing his damnedest, being the babyface that we wanted to cheer. He's trying to get that hot tag, but nope. Revival calling the disqualification. Revival being the Revival. And
then the Revival takes out Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre, and Dolph Ziggler take out Seth Rollins.
And now we got a 30-minute Iron Man match at Extreme Rules for the Intercontinental Championship. That's going to be
amazing. That's going to be
the match of the night.
Oh,
hands down.
You don't have to. We can put that in the book right now.
Even though I have to say this is more in the nitpicking realm of things at this point. But am I the only one here among us who gets a little bit disappointed when any of the modern-day Iron Man matches are never an hour anymore?
I actually do agree with you.
I know there's logical reasons why they don't do that, but if they call it an Iron Man match and it's only half the amount of time as an actual one Iron Man match used to be, then it's
And also,
especially when guys are out there now actually putting on hour-long matches,
like Seth Rollins when he was in the
and you can't tell me guys like Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler aren't well conditioned enough to go for an entire hour.
Oh, they are.
And here's the deal: they also have no excuse because every pay-per-view from now on is going to be about 4 hours long. You're telling me that
exactly.
You're
telling me that you can't fit an hour-long Iron Man match into a 4-hour pay-per-view?
Apparently not.
That's meh.
that really is some
that really is some meh.
That's some. I've never agreed.
That's a big bowl of meh.
I'll tell you what.
That was good.
Out of everything we're bickering about, I think that's one thing we can all universally agree on.
Yes,
that 30 is a big bowl of meh.
30-man Iron matches, 30-minute Iron matches are a big bowl of meh. Yes.
There we go. On that, we can agree.
And then we'll talk about the big story, the actual big storyline that closed out the show, and that is Kevin Owens trying to get out of his match with Braun Strowman. And the saddest thing is
getting shit-canned for it.
Literally.
Toilet humor. I must say, throughout the entire night, Kevin Owens is trying to get Kurt Angle to change his mind. But when you really listen to what Kevin Owens has to say, he makes perfect sense.
He does.
Like, why isn't Braun Strowman in anger management? He's the one flipping over cars and trying to kill people with scaffolding.
Because no one's scared of Bayley.
Yeah. Tell Braun Strowman to go into anger management and see what happens.
Just watch.
You think getting shit canned is bad?
Oh no! Just watch. I want them to actually do that and just watch Braun Strowman be perfectly well mannered and articulate. He's just very large, very gruff, very intimidating, but then he's also very proper and soft spoken. Gives all the answers that Dr. Shelby wants to hear. And he's like, I see absolutely nothing wrong with him. He's a perfectly well-balanced individual.
And then you
walks back in the Braun. Braun.
You have Braun Strowman and Kevin Owens in a Dr. Shelby, and he's basically saying everything that Braun Strowman has done over his career, trying to kill Kane and Brock Lesnar, flipping ambulances, lifting up trucks, and everything that Braun Strowman has done. And everyone is looking at Kevin Owens like he's crazy. It's like, and keeping the articulate Braun Strowman, everyone will think Kevin Owens is crazy, yet he's the one that's actually being the most honest one in the whole segment.
And better yet, whenever he hears all these things, Braun will just be like, I only did those things because I have no easier way to process and explain my emotions. So I let them out through bursts of anger. I'm sorry.
And then walks out.
And then goes back to Braun. Braun is just like, Braun!
That's better use of Dr. Shelby than use it with Sasha and Bayley. But, of course, they having to bring in the toilet humor. Him running out of his match. Like, first, he's trying to show confidence with the whole inner peace thing with Jinder Mahal. Like, he's going to be the one who monsters are made to be demolished. And then he has the match. He bails. Braun waits for the 10 count so he can get the win. Then he runs after him, finds Kevin Owens in a porta potty, drags that porta potty into the stage, and then he just tackles it off the stage.
I'm gonna give production a big A+ on this one because they had about 30 seconds to cover Kevin Owens in that paint while Braun Strowman was doing his thing on the camera with that. Because Kevin Owens was obviously not in the porta potty when it was shoulder tackled over the balcony onto the ground. Mm-hmm. So he was obviously not. You could tell. You always can. They had about 30 seconds to cover him in the blue paint that he was in, and they did it to a T amazingly. So kudos to you, production, even though it's one of the weakest versions of Braun being Braun that I've seen so far. Where else can you go from here with Braun being Braun?
There really isn't anything else you can really do. He'll just lift up the earth, Chuck Norris style.
Well, you just answered your own question.
But that's not going to happen. It's not. He's not going to just all of a sudden grab the Earth and just try and spin it, and it just spins it Superman style and go back in time.
If this was WCW, they would try.
If that was it was Vince Russo writing the storyline, yes.
Think back to what they've done with Hornswoggle.
Oh, God.
And Braun Strowman is actually over. That's all I'm saying. But anywho, any other thoughts on this week's episode of Monday Night Raw?
The stuff we talked about was the only good thing that actually happened on the show. But I actually will say, just one final note. I posted it on Twitter. Mojo Rawley is really getting my respect in what he's been doing. Hopefully he'll get a better feud after he's done with this nonsense with No Way Jose. But other than that, the Dr. Shelby stuff
Do
was
you think
absolutely...
your mom enjoys you looking like a cheeseburger?
Well, that's a different guy, too. That wasn't... What was his name? Todd?
But him just
he looks like Spoonie.
Him just going into Todd. That was great.
There were like
phrasing.
There were other stuff that we didn't talk about that actually wasn't very good. Baron Corbin and Finn Balor is just a retelling of Big Cass and Daniel Bryan, and we all know how we feel about that.
Except Baron Corbin's better.
Baron Corbin is better, but do we really need this whole retelling of that particular story? I'm tall and better. That makes me better than you.
I really don't have any interest in this. I feel like I should, but I don't.
Like I said, I like the Constable Corbin character, but now he's slowly kind of reverting back to the lone wolf part. That the fact that, like, oh, I'm bigger, so that I'm a taller dude, so that makes me better than you. Again, we don't need that stupid shit. Dr. Shelby was terrible. The Deleters of World versus B Team is just copy-paste from last week.
Yeah, I really hate it when trash talk and banter just doesn't land or has any basis in reality. It's just dumb. It's insulting my intelligence.
Do you want your title to be taken again?
Well, I'm just talking about wrestling.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just talking about wrestling.
Keep
and
going.
I'm also talking about SmackDown Live, which I personally have a lot more to say about this, which, not for nothing, I'm just glad Sanity's back. And they're actually doing things again.
And they're wrecking... First of all, okay, Byron Saxton, during that opening, that's where he needs to be. The guy who does the insane introductions for the New Day.
Apparently, this all was written by Xavier Woods. All of what Byron Saxton had to say was all written by Xavier Woods.
Another reason to love Xavier Woods.
But legit, okay, tell me that isn't the best you've ever heard of Byron Saxton.
Oh, it was. It actually was, and I just love the Todd Phillips and Corey Graves just ripping on him.
I love the Big E. I love the Big E. I'm not gonna say that. We have no time. I'm not gonna say any of this.
Can we just flat out say that this will be the official debut of Sanity? Just forget the past 2 weeks. Because
actually coming in and annihilating a group that is the 4-time tag team champs, the longest running tag team champions in the WWE. Yeah, this is where they should have made their debut. Okay, 2 weeks ago, okay, you took out the Usos. Then you lost. Okay, now we're back to square one. Why didn't you just start with this?
Why didn't you just start with this square one? Exactly. There really was a lot more.
No pancakes for you. That's it. That's what Sanity did.
I want pancakes so bad.
This episode of SmackDown was just so much fun. You had Asuka facing James Ellsworth, but the
slap heard around the world.
The slap heard around the world, and it led to a count out, or a double count out, which was kind of disappointing.
And now we got a Lumberjill match.
At least they actually did something instead of just moving on from that. That actually got me. Being much more light on that, how that segment ended. And really, James Ellsworth is now actually making Carmella. No, I can't say that sentence.
Don't do it.
I can't say that sentence.
James Ellsworth is being an effective heater for Carmella.
We'll go with that one.
Yes.
We'll go with that one, with how he said it. the man who's refusing to
James
put this
Ellsworth
on the line.
As
on
far
the
more
screen.
articulate than you. Oh!
James Ellsworth on the screen makes watching Carmella not
Cringeworthy.
the worst chore